Hey guys, so I've got Joe here, caught him off guard.
You need a black marker.
We're gonna start working on, we have a lot of folks ask us, how do we break up a dog fight? You know, what do we do? What are the best things to do? You know, how do we address this? And so, obviously, the first idea was to, of course, allow dogs to fight, and we'd show you. But we decided against that after talking with our lawyers. And so instead, we've done the whiteboard. We're doing the whiteboard method here. And so Joe has kind of broken it down into a very linear process to where, okay, at this stage of a fight, do this. At this stage of a fight, do this. With this kind of thing, do this. And so that's what we're going to get into. Take it away, Joe.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. Okay, I want to talk about this because you don't do the same thing at every point in the fight. So we're going to look at this in pre-fight. So before the fight happens, like how do we keep our dog from getting holes in it or hurting other dogs? First off, stay calm. And this is true for every point in this process. You need to think your way through it no matter what. Staying calm is the most important thing. If you get hectic and you have a dog fight, then you're throwing anxiety logs onto an anxiety fire. It's no way.
Ooh, anxiety logs on an anxiety fire?
It is. And I don't write fast enough to write that down for everybody.
I like that. I wanted to highlight that.
Okay. Be aware. Have some situational awareness. If you're in public with a dog, you could have a dog come out from behind a car, out from some trees, whatever it is, like you watch your situation. If you have a dog that could go after other dogs, be aware that propensity is there. What were you gonna say?
I was saying, yeah, because this goes for everything. Because a lot of folks are like, well, my dog's nice. And if anyone's like ever been out there and watched their dog, or you know they've been outside and some dog comes running at them, how many people are like, oh, my dog's friendly?
Yeah.
You can't have that mindset. Even if your dog's friendly, so what? Maybe the other dog isn't. Maybe this dog runs up and suddenly your dog feels threatened. So yeah.
Exactly. So you want to be the one in charge of that dog-to-dog interaction. If someone comes up, my dog's friendly, let's let him meet. You have to stop them. Put a flat palm out. Nope, my dog's not friendly. Stay away. Like very clear language. And if you offend somebody, that's okay because you saved either their dog or your dog. Okay. Now, if you have good obedience, which you should have, you put your dog in a down stay, and you get between your dog and the other dog.
This is a situation where a dog's coming at you, right?
Yeah, so you're at the park playing frisbee, you see a neighbor yells at his dog, Fluffy, come back, and you look over and you have a dog running over at you guys. Put your dog in a down, you grab your leash, and you stand between your dog and that other dog. If you have to, you can take the leash and make a slip lead out of it. If you have a leash with a handle, you would just put it through the handle right there. Then you have a slip lead. Or if you have a leash with a buckle, we just do this, we put it around the other dog, and we take the dog back to the owner. So we want to be aware, have good control, and stand between your dog and that dog.
Yeah, kind of just own that space. And this is where, you know, in situations where it looks like this dog's still coming at us, it's your job. You know, you push, kick, yell at the dog, pretend you're picking up a stick, pick up a stick. No one wants to advocate for hurting a dog, but you know, when it comes down to it, we can sit here and tell you story after story of dogs that come up with no warning and just attack. And so there's no reason to sit there and say, well, the dog's running at me, let's see if he's friendly.
Yeah. And it's not a politically correct thing. Like when dogs are fighting, you can't offer them a cookie in lieu of aggression or anything like that. There's sort of a threshold. The only thing they're worried about is saving their self or else taking another dog down. So now if your dog has a good recall, this is a good time to call your dog away. So you want to do this calmly. If your dogs are squaring off, you don't want to say, Zoe, no! Because when you do that, what you get is a dog that's like feeling more amped up. So what you would do, Zoe, come, and we go away from her, and yay, good job. Take the anxiety out of that situation, rely on your obedience, and if you're practiced enough, it will work. Okay, then you have what I would call the melee part of the fight. Did I spell that right?
I think you did spell it right, melee.
So what happens is you have the dogs, they're running around, they're tooth fencing, it's aggressive, they're kind of scrapping for dominance, or they're moving around the room a lot. So what you do in that situation is you go for the aggressive dog.
So this is dogs that aren't latched onto each other.
So they're not latched on yet. They're just trying to fight, trying to get
growling, jumping, pinning,
yeah,
stuff like that.
So we're gonna go for the aggressor. Now, if you have a leash, that's awesome. That means you are managing your environment well. You put it around the aggressor. We take it away if that other dog comes. We kick it away. You don't have a leash. Grab the aggressor by the back legs, pull him away. We go into the other room or another part of the house.
Also called the wheelbarrow.
Also called the wheelbarrow. Right, and that's pretty effective. You want to be aware that by going away, I don't let that dog come around and get me on the arm. So it's forced to.
And you got to be careful. Sorry, am I okay keeping? Yeah.
No, do.
And if you're doing that, like if you're the only one trying to break up this little melee, and you start wheelbarrowing one dog out, the other dog might gain some courage and be like, all right, I'm going after him now.
Yeah.
So you might have to be using that foot of yours to keep that other dog at bay.
And that happens pretty often because they get so adrenalized. So go for the aggressor. One thing that some people can get away with and some people cannot is go in and grab the collars on both the dogs and pick them up off the ground. If you don't know if you can do it, don't do it.
Yeah, you probably can't if you don't know.
It's dangerous. So if you go to like MMA or boxing or something like that on weeknights, you maybe can. If you're watching, you can't. If you're in the ring, you can. But yeah, so don't put yourself in harm's way by getting between the dogs. It's dangerous, but it is an option. So sign the waiver if you're going to do it. We grab both collars at once, and you lift the front feet off the ground with the dogs. So if you're under 140 pounds or 5'7", you can't do it. Okay.
Unless the dogs are 20 pounds or under.
Yeah, there you go. So grab both collars. And again, this is just an awesome opportunity to get bit right here, putting your hands in between dogs. So not our favorite method, but
yeah,
skills.
Obviously if the dogs are on leashes when this melee is occurring, use the leashes, and drag them away from each other, that type of thing.
Right. Now, another thing is like we try to get an object between the dogs. So if you're outside and you can get something between the dogs, it's highly unlikely that it's going to stop the fight. It's just going to cause frustration. They're going to have to work around that. What it can buy you is critical time that somebody else can come out and help you.
So you're talking like a lawn chair.
Yeah, dog crate, chair, grab a pitcher off the wall of your house, and
yeah, anything that's like blockable.
So buy yourself some time and do that. Now, we get an object between, and then if you can, and you're inside, you can grab one of the dogs, pull it into the other room, and make sure you get that door shut behind you. So take one dog in the other room. So when that happens, if you're able to do that. Okay.
All right, so let's talk about, all right, so we've got pre-fight, we've got dogs that are scrapping and meleeing. What do we do, Joe, if they actually get a hold of each other?
Once they get a hold of each other, and again, like through this melee, I just want to go back there really quick. Stay calm. Like don't run around. If somebody's screaming and flipping out and getting between the dogs or hitting the dogs, they're not helping. They're not helping your cause. So the last stage of the fight is going to be they're going to lock up. Now, if you know what a break stick is, this video is not applicable to you. So you're beyond a lot of this stuff. So some people that are really familiar with that, they do hog catching or other things, like you want to be careful, or you know what to do when a dog locks up. If you don't, for us average people, what we do is this. So first of all, we have a couple options, and I don't know which one's the best, and really it's going to depend on the dog. First of all, what we have, this is not politically correct, but it's called choking a dog off. So what this looks like, we have two dogs that are locked together. They're getting into a scramble. One dog locks onto the neck of another dog. When this happens, we take our leash and we get it around the dog that's locked on. Then we pull it tight, and then we stand over the dog with our feet on both sides, and we lift up. And we let this cut off the wind for a second of the dog. Now it's important that we let off pressure once the dog comes off for air, because if we do this, it will come off for air. And when that happens, it's important to let them get their wind. But first and foremost, we're gonna get this dog away once he does that. So by standing on either side of the dog, we prevent ourselves from the dog latching onto our leg or anything like that. And we just pull the leash tight, cut off wind. Once they calm down, we pull that dog away. Now, if the other dog keeps coming, we can hook that leash on the dog that we pulled away right here, and we pull off our belt.
Hook it to a fence, hook it to...
Yeah, hook it to a fence. We pull off our belt and do that same thing with the other dog. If you're alone, this is a very, very hard process.
And obviously we're talking about pretty rough stuff here. These are dogs trying to kill each other. It's not like you choke a dog off because he's growling at somebody.
Yeah.
We're talking about like he's going for blood and someone's going to die here if we're not doing something.
That's right. We're not looking for opportunities
Yeah.
for this to happen. We're trying to avoid this.
You hope to go your whole life without ever having to do this.
Another fun method that I'm aware of is the soda can method. So you're at a barbecue, you're up in the mountains camping, there's a dog fight, one of them locks on, get a soda can out of the cooler, hit it on the ground, run up and open it up, and the foam from the soda will fill the dog's mouth and nose, and they'll let go to get air. So if you do this, you're gonna save a lot of like ripping and tearing and stuff like that. So this is an important one. Then our last one is we have what we call flanking a dog. So you explain this process well, Ty. Do you wanna?
Yeah, the flank of the dog is where their rear leg kind of meets their torso. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
There's that flap of skin. There's a lot of nerve endings there. And so there's a lot of dogs that if they're fighting and you grab that and you lift straight up in the air, it's so intense of a pain that they'll release what they are. Now you got to be super careful in doing this because they might want to turn around and bite you. And so, you have to be very careful with something like this. But again, if it's like, dire straits and, some dog might die here, it's an option for something you can try.
Yeah.
Full disclaimer here, all of this stuff is dangerous. Don't try this at home. I think we have to say that.
We do have to say that. So after all this is said and done, you have training to do. Just don't make the same mistakes twice, and control your dog well in the future. And then, I just want to touch on some don'ts. Don't panic, don't scream, don't yell, don't hit the dogs with heavy objects because you're just going to cause more damage to the dogs. Sometimes we can get enough of a behavior interrupter, but if dogs are to this point, locking onto other dogs, hitting them just hurts them more. Just find a way to get something around their neck and then pull them apart. We have to add on to that.
No, I think that's good. And like I say, this is an ugly topic, but it's one, I know this happened recently in my neighborhood where an off-leash dog charged someone walking their dog, and the guy was like, "Don't worry, it's friendly," and it killed the dog that was on leash. We had another one of my clients that's in the neighborhood was like, "Gosh, I went jogging in the neighborhood and we had 3 dogs, come running at us." And so this is like, this is ugly to talk about, about like hurting dogs and choking them out. It's ugly, but if it comes down to saving your dog someday, you kind of want to know what those options are.
Yep.
So, cool. All right, guys. Let us know if you have questions.